Welcome back to York, Carolina. You can hear the signs of growth here in Anderson. And if you ask people around town, they will tell you that a important part of that growth started here with the Bleckley Inn. So we're gonna go in today's Living Upstate segment inside to meet the owner to find out more about this historic spot and how it contributed to the growth here in Anderson.
The electricity of the electric city of Anderson. Some say it's due in part to the vision and projects by Anderson's Steve Kay.
It just became apparent to me that the town was growing, we had a lot going on, that there might be a place for a small boutique hotel in Anderson.
This is a story ripe with ironic moments. It's ironic that in the electric city, Steve went to work in the electric business at 18, eventually buying the company in 1991. Then 11 years ago, Steve had an aha moment when the famous Budweiser's Clydesdale were visiting Anderson for the town's annual soiree. They found a historic place to house the horses next to Steve's downtown residence, but
the horses had the nicest place to sleep since they'd left St. Louis. But their caretakers, the young people who fed them and washed them and took care of them, every night they had to go out to the interstate to have a place to sleep.
It was after that visit that Steve started making plans for the Bleckley Inn.
It was kind of a light went off and said, okay, I've got this property next door. It needs to be improved. That's what we need. So really started then on the process of developing plans and evolving it into the inn.
Celebrating 10 years next March, the Bleckley Inn features immaculate sleeping rooms, event spaces, conference areas, and plenty of charming alleyways for any event you could ever imagine of any size.
The first couple of weddings that we had here, I was really hands-on, and I thought we couldn't have a wedding or an event unless I was right in the middle of it. But I would go and I wouldn't recognize anyone. I would go to a wedding that had 200 or 300 people, and these were folks who came from Spartanburg, they came from Oconee and Pickens County, but they found us as a place to have an event and realized that we were bringing people to Anderson and people walking the streets and being here that had never been here.
In all, there are 3 Bleckley locations representing 12 older repurposed downtown buildings, all within easy walking distance of one another. And as you walk, be sure to read about the vibrant black business area on Church Street. Some say the energy and grit rivaled Bourbon Street in New Orleans at its height. Bringing people to Anderson and transporting them to the past with lots of nods to history everywhere you look.
There's a lot of work in taking an old building. Say the old building we bought first was really owned by the pigeons. It was, the windows were out of it. It was a mess. And it took a year just to clean it up, just to get it to the point that you could see what you had, get back to the bones in order to start construction. Naturally, it probably been a lot easier for that building, and even this building we're sitting in, just to have pushed it over, than to have tried to save those pieces that were so interesting now. It's like these walls here. Those walls were about to tip over, but we saved them. We, propped them up. Thought we were in Charleston. That's what they do in Charleston. They prop up old walls until you build something around them.
Right.
But we did that here in a lot of places around in the different buildings. We reclaimed what was there, saved it, and then it has a really neat effect to it if you can save all that. And you've got to pay attention to it. And so we've done that. And I like it when people walk through and they recognize the detail in the things we've done.
Back to those iconic moments, this site has housed numerous downtown businesses, including Tom Chapman's Tire Recap Shop and even a horse and buggy store owned by J.J. Fretwell, an area mover and shaker and son-in-law of local mule broker Sylvester Bleckley. Steve tells us that Fretwell sold Studebaker wagons, the manufacturer of the wagons pulled by, you guessed it, the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Clydesdale wagon was a Studebaker. So it did kind of come full circle that he sold a Studebaker wagon, and then the thing that started all this again was the Studebaker wagon was here with the horses.
Anderson officials were told that the city was too far from Interstate 85 to be considered for a new hotel development, according to Anderson Mayor Terrence Roberts. Mayor Roberts credits Steve Kay with being the catalyst to power the downtown revitalization. There are now plans for more retail, mixed-use development, and even an 85-room Home2 Suites by Hilton. It's easy to see the growth of Anderson, especially from the rooftop plaza, one of the Bleckley locations, all because of trailblazers like Steve Kay and perhaps the motivation from some Clydesdales.
We'll continue to grow. I don't see us being Greenville. I don't really see us being Spartanburg, but I think we just need to be Anderson, and I think people like that.
In Anderson, for Living Upstate, I'm Jamarcus Gaston.